Thank you, Acting President, and I rise to support this motion. You know, I think in echoing the previous members, with a great degree of sadness, a great degree of disappointment, and when I also watched this unfolding on television and then in the newspapers the next day, sadly, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. And sadly, I don't think the Victorian public was surprised. Shocked, maybe, by the language, shocked that this was exposed, but not surprised that it was happening. Not surprised at all. And that is why we often hear the disdain that our community has for politicians. I feel very privileged to be here. I feel passionate about being here. I'm passionate about representing my constituency. I'm passionate about the policies that I want to advocate for. I feel very fortunate to have this extraordinary opportunity, and I take it very seriously. But that's not enough for our community now. We need to do a lot more. And I don't know whether an investigation by the Ombudsman, whether an investigation by IBAC will actually restore that faith that we should have and that we must try and restore, because it isn't there now. And to see the disdain that Mr. Somyurek not only treated his constituents, but treated his colleagues. The disdain that he treated this parliament. And as a member of the crossbench, and probably I have to say as a woman, I felt it. You know, when the minister couldn't remember my name in a committee process, when the minister, would barely answer a question when I was seriously trying to further understand in the committee process about local government legislation that was going to affect my community, that were questions that my community were concerned about. The yes, no or non-answers that we received. This was someone who clearly treated this place with contempt. Now, maybe that's something we should explore. You know, was he in fact in contempt of this parliament? Some years ago, I was actually charged with contempt of parliament, long before I was a member of parliament, and certainly not as a minister. But I threatened to take legal action against some senators if I thought that what they were doing was not correct and was not within their duties. Now that enraged the senators at the time, and myself and my partner Robbie Swan were charged with contempt of parliament. Ultimately, we were not found to have been in contempt, but I would say that the accusations against me were far less than what we have seen the accusations against Mr. Somyurek. I mean, talk about threats. My goodness, the threats he was making against his own members, against other ministers, was contemptible, was worse than that. It was misogynistic, but I certainly would think that we could consider whether in actual fact he was not only treating this place with contempt, but actually in contempt of this place. I'm pleased that we are all in furious agreement about this motion, but I hope that we actually take this seriously. I hope that we actually do change the way we act. I hope that we can bring the public with us in these changes. I hope that, maybe this will lead to greater transparency. And I know, sitting on the crossbench, that, we're not about to be in power, as it were. And it is the power that has corrupted this. It is the power that became the only reason for being here. It wasn't the policies, it wasn't the people, it was about the power. And crossbenchers are not affected by that in the same way. We come here with passion. We certainly may not all agree with each other, and that is entirely evident in many of the debates that we've had in this place. But I respect everyone here because they are passionate and they are here for the right reasons, even if I may not agree with those reasons. However, they are here for the right reasons and they are here to represent the people of Victoria. And they're not here to power play, which is what we see. And maybe this does need a complete change. We are seeing the trust in our politicians, in our political process, even in our parliamentary processes, decline. You know, and that's the saddest thing, that this comes as no surprise to our constituents. It comes as no surprise to our community. And that is the saddest, thing about this motion. It is the saddest thing about what we have all been dealing with this week. And not only this week, I mean, we have seen this going on in my short period in this place. We have seen consistently these questions about, are we behaving in a proper manner? Are we behaving in an admirable and an honest and honourable manner? And I think time and time again we have found that we are lacking. And I hope yet again this might be a final wake-up call for us to change this, to really work hard to restore that faith. And may this be a tipping point in this parliament.